Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I am a twin flame channel and Western astrologer, and this is a video about the new moon in Scorpio 2019 for twin flames. This video is going to be shorter. I'm only going to cover the energies and the aspects for Juno, which I read as the divine feminine, and Jupiter, which I read as the divine masculine in the charts. For a broader understanding of the meaning of this particular new moon, I highly encourage you to have a look at the general video, as it's much longer and much more detailed in the overarching energy playing out and influencing the journey that the divine feminine and the divine masculine are on at this time. I will share just a quick bit of an overview because I do believe that it will clarify how some of this energy between now and the end of the year is meant to be used. I want to start by sharing something that I'm noticing quite a bit in my sessions that feels like a very important message to relay right now with this Scorpio new moon. Because Scorpio really represents alchemy, transformation, the exchange points. It's the place where one thing becomes another behind closed doors, where the caterpillar walks into the chrysalis, comes out as a butterfly. It is the actual chrysalis and the place of decomposition of the caterpillar before it becomes that butterfly. It's that place where two things become one thing during an act of sexual intimacy. And create a third thing. It is the exchange points where money changes hands for value, and value is derived out of that money changing hands, specifically in the form of investments or grants or loans. Scorpionic energy can be highly misunderstood in mundane astrology. But what it is at its core is the capacity to turn lead into gold, to bring into existence out of one thing something that didn't previously exist. And I share that at this time because the lead up between that most recent full moon, the Aries full moon that we had, and if you haven't watched that video, I highly encourage you to have a look. The twin flame one specifically was a bit lengthy as I went in depth about the energies between now and the end of the year walking into 2020 because they are significant. The energies post this new moon walking into the Taurus full moon, which will be the divine feminine's full moon this year. The energies post that, which will be the new moon in Sagittarius this year. All of the lunar cycles as well as the solar cycles walking us into 2020. From here, today we have a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio sun. But we'll soon move into a Sagittarius sun, which is about truth, rebirth of truth after the death. Then we'll have a Capricorn sun, which is all about taking that truth and manifesting it into the physical world. There's just been really potent energies for channeling into the physical world and preparing for a channeling into the physical world of what we want within our twin flame connections. Now, I say that because the majority of people who come to speak to me have truly one question in their hearts. And they say to me, Kay, I just want to know, is it written in the stars that we could be together in some way in this lifetime? And I want to honestly and truly say to anyone who has that question in their heart, that I have seen in the charts some of the absolute worst, most complicated and painful configurations between twin flames who have made it fully into union, who are celebrating 5-year, 10-year, 7-year anniversaries, who are not just together or living together, but who are married. And I have seen the inverse of that also be true. I have seen twins who have the absolute best of the best possible configurations move into separation after separation. I have seen people who have Juno and Jupiter in conjunct, square, or opposite just celebrate anniversaries. I've seen people who have Juno and Jupiter sitting together harmoniously spend years in no communication. So the answer to the question, is my union written in the stars, Kay? Is it possible for us in this lifetime? The truth to the answer to that question, which I feel is appropriate to now reveal publicly, is that no, it's not written in the stars. It's written in your heart and it's written in your hands. And this run up between this new moon in Scorpio and what's about to happen as Jupiter moves into Capricorn and spends a year in the sign of physical manifestation is about what you choose to do with the truth. All right? So I'll go ahead and get into the energies now, but I felt the need to say that, especially because so many people come to me who are, and I'm going to speak directly now to those of you who are married, because I know the heartache, the double bind heartache that you live in, terrified of painfully causing an ending with someone that you absolutely love and cherish. Some of you don't love and cherish your partner, but many of you do. Terrified of what lives on the other side of that new financial and home beginning. Those are all things Capricorn governs that Jupiter is about to go into for a year. And terrified of what that might mean if you take that leap and your potentially married twin does not. What I will say to you as we sit in this particular new moon of alchemical transformation with the lead in one hand, the recipe written in your heart, and no promise of gold on the other side, what I will say to you is to remember the truth of who you are and how God made you. Remember the divinity written in your heart and your twin's heart. Remember that whether your twin ever shows up or not, do you want to keep living a non-truth in your day-to-day life and in your heart? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Is, are you willing to continue with the lie? Is that who you want to be as you walk into this chrysalis moment? Do you want to come out the other side in that place? Okay? Because we all have choices, and this particular new moon is extensively about choices. It is a significant choice point within the year because this new moon brings in a level of emotional clarity that is teeing us up for action. The spiritual clarity is already online. The emotional clarity is coming in now. All that remains out of the elements is the mental and communication clarity, that's air, and the physical clarity, creating that which you know to be true in your heart with your hands, that's earth. So that being said, let's get into what the divine feminine and divine masculine are doing. And for deeper clarity about where that message has come from, given this particular new moon, again, I encourage you to watch 2 videos. The first one being the full moon in Aries, the divine feminine, the divine masculine's full moon for this year. That was the last video I put out. And I also encourage you to have a listen to, I can't even remember the other one, but I know I mentioned it, and I'm sure you get the point. So with this particular new moon, there's an interesting component here because the new moon sits opposite the sign or the energy of Uranus here. And Uranus really acts as the divine consort of Gaia. When Gaia was ready to have a lover, when she was done creating children by herself, she created Oranos, the heavens, to be able to be her lover. And Uranus acts as a very quick, lightning, surprising kind of energy and has been all year, for the most part, since spring, shaking up the earth sign of Taurus, the very feminine earth sign of Taurus. It's the first feminine sign of the zodiac. And with this shake-up energy happening in Taurus, breaking up the structures that we thought were real, safe, always going to be there. Opposite this particular new moon in the sign of alchemy and transformation, death, transmutation. What we have here is a little bit of a lightning bolt energy as the divine comes to pull the wool off of our eyes, shake the rug out from underneath us, and really places a conviction in our heart that it's time to start letting go. It's time to move forward in our journey. It's time to lay to rest some of the patterns and the behaviors that we've been caught in that have allowed us to remain complicit to our own self-sabotage, our twins' self-sabotage, because if it's happening over there, you better believe it's happening over here too, whether you can see it or not. It's happening. And allowed us to remain complicit to not only those patterns, but also the structures that we have allowed to bind us and prevent us from creating with our hands the truths in our hearts. So this particular new moon really is bringing forth that lightning bolt, can't go back energy in these two fixed signs, which, it's difficult with fixed sign. Change is hard for a fixed sign, but you've got this new beginning here knocking at your door. So, this is the opportunity of the divine truly kind of working with us on the creation of this completion that needs to happen. For some of you, these are certain patterns of addiction. These to be certain patterns of other types of self-sabotage, inappropriate money spending habits, inappropriate communication patterns and habits, where instead of learning how to communicate gently and harmoniously with yourself, you're constantly beating up with yourself and wondering why your twin's always jetting out of the connection. Well, if you're doing it with yourself, you're also doing it with them. This could be potentially habits or patterns that have to do with, inappropriate uses of sex and intimacy, or inappropriate ways of managing time or energy or health and well-being, not really, peeling back the hood on the root causes of that thyroid issue, of that hormonal issue, of that you know, digestive issue, letting these things kind of fester and create rot in your life, and then wondering why in your non-whole state, you know, the twin isn't energetically drawn, when you've already been shown the path to that requires going through this. So there's a large amount of kind of culpability and, you know, responsibility and accountability energy with this new moon. And, you know, you'll really kind of get it when you listen to the, you know, the new moon video, for the general new moon video. That was the one that I really wanted to say earlier. The new moon video in Scorpio. That's the one you want to watch too. Now, Jupiter, the divine masculine here, has some interesting conversations that he's having this month. This divine masculine is having a conversation, let's see, square Lilith and Neptune, while also being conjunct Ceres. So here's the divine masculine here at 22 degrees Sagittarius. We've got Lilith and Neptune out here in Pisces at 19 and 16 degrees. In the Aries full moon video, I talked about there being an awakening upon the masculine energies in all of us around what is the truth, what is the absolute truth that we must take into consideration at this point in time, because now we know it, we can't unknow it. This awareness of the truth of, you know, Jupiter kind of coming out of the retrograde zone and being well out of it now for some time, but now coming into a square with Lilith, already having done a square multiple times this year with Neptune. There's a little bit of energy, especially now with Ceres being in the mix, of a bit of dissension in the ranks, where, you know, there's a recognition in our masculine energies of what has to happen, what must happen, and simultaneously a recognition of all the uncooperative parts of ourselves who have been dodging this all year long. There's this dogged unwillingness to believe what it's going to take, a stubborn clinging to the belief, it can't possibly require that of me. It can't possibly require that sacrifice, that risk. You mean I'm the one that has to leave my marriage first? You mean I'm the one who needs to sell my house? You mean I'm the one who's going to have to go to therapy? Yeah, it's you, boo. It's you. You got to do the work. So there's a lot of internal grumbling that's coming with this new moon, and a lot of miniature ego deaths, and battles within ourselves, almost like fights with, you know, multiple toddlers, like our internal 3 and 4-year-olds that are stomping their feet and crossing their arms and rolling on the floor, howling because they can't have their candy. There's a lot of that energy, which, you know, there's only so much longer the universe is going to put up with that, given that there's a truth that's been written in your heart already and has been, you know, asked of you to take action upon, despite, you know, a little bit of wait and see, a little bit of not sureness, a little bit of denial about the truth. You're going to want to hear what I have to say about denial in the general video for this month, so definitely check that out. There's a little bit of this energy of kind of like, man, but they don't have to. Why do I have to? And the reality is, you have to, because you can't pretend that you're not someone that you're not anymore. That's why. Not because of any external circumstance, but because the internal reality is too loud to ignore anymore. That's why. Okay? So there's that energy. Jupiter, and that's within all of the masculine energies within all of us. Jupiter is also having this interesting conversation, this Jupiter Ceres conjunction. So this Jupiter Ceres conjunction is really the divine masculine kind of you see how Ceres is a sickle shape? She really represents the energy of being willing to harvest the ripe wheat, because it's just not going to get any riper. It's now time to bring it in from the field. It's now time to, take what we've got and make the most of it. We're not going to grow any more wheat by waiting any longer. We're not going to save any more money, save any more time, spare anyone any more pain, avoid any more pain for ourselves by waiting any longer. The masculine energy within us is at a precipice point of being ready to do what it has to do. And so that Jupiter energy also being in a trine to this Vesta, or not Vesta, but being in a trine to this Eris energy up here in Aries, there is a little bit of like a recognition of the places where you have waited on the things that you need to get done to spare other people's feelings, and an unwillingness to spare their feelings anymore, because of what it has already cost us. There's also a bit of a recognition of like feeling like I've waited so long and I've done so much already. If I don't pull the trigger now, like I'm going to really lose out big time, like really lose out big time, and an unwillingness to keep losing out big time. So, if you've been getting that internal kind of nudge around, if I don't move, like this is like the last call, last chance kind of energy showing up for the divine masculine. The universe is benevolent. You'll always get more chances. But there's a particular wave that's building right now. And if you want to be on it, you're going to move now. And if you felt that wave inside of you, now's the time. Now's the time. The moment's not going to get any riper, and it's only going to cost more later. And then, the next most significant energy that I see here for the masculine energies in all of us is the creation goddess here, sitting in the sign of Libra, the partnership energy, is sitting in a sextile to Jupiter and Ceres here. And so with the creation goddess in sextile, this is really showing us that, there's a certain kind of work, Libra, partnership, Sagittarius, truth, Jupiter, expansion and optimism, opportunity, creation goddess, all about creating that new life and new things you want in the sign of partnership. This is the recognition that the outcomes that we want when it comes to partnership are going to take work, are absolutely possible, but the work can't be avoided. Sextiles bring blessings, but only when we do the work. So that recognition is upon all of our masculine energies that it's time. It's time. It's been time. For some of you, it's past time, but it's definitely for all of us, it's time. So whatever it's time for you to do, we can definitely take a look at in your chart. The thing to do, I just opened up the reading calendar for the first half of November, is the thing to do is to email me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com, KRYSALISMOON@gmail.com. I will warn you, though, that this is not the month to sit on the fence about it. There are limited sessions due to the November holiday at the end of the month in the United States, which I will be taking time off for. And this is what I mean by like, it's time, it's past time. Like there are many of you who've known you've wanted sessions, not just wanting a session, but you've known there are things you need to get after in your world. And you've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And now the window's closing. Now there's less opportunities to do it comfortably. Now it's going to cost you more, not with me, but just in metaphorically speaking, it's going to take more effort. And so this is just one example of the entire energy in play. Like, yeah, my time's more limited this month. Yeah, if you've waited on things that you know you've needed to do in your life, there'll be another chance. It just won't be this chance. And so if you're called to get in that communication course, do that health plan or health regimen, sign up with that health coach, get that new doctor, move that money, change the way that investment is set up, sell that house, get out of that marriage. If you've been called, like what's happening right now is an energy of last call. Won't be any more drinks at the bar after this. That's the energy here. You won't have to, go home, but you're going to have to find a different bar, a completely different way to go about getting done what you want to get done. Because the opportunities are becoming more and more scarce. So always second chances. The universe is benevolent. But if you're riding this wave that's been calling to you all year, if you know that, in your heart of hearts, there is a union with your name on it, get after it. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Don't delay any longer. Okay. There's definitely new information coming out with this Scorpio retrograde of Mercury. But if you know that your thing, no matter what new information comes forward, it's not going to change things for you because you know what you need to do. Do it. Do it. Do it now. Do it yesterday. Do it tomorrow morning, but do it. Do it. Let's get into what's going on with the divine feminine now. So here she is at 27 degrees Virgo. She's sitting in harmonious conversation with Venus here at 24 degrees Scorpio. And I really like that because that lends itself to the feminine energies within us having a level of flow when it comes to the discernment of what needs to happen for this closure, this Scorpio alchemy to take place. Juno, discernment in Virgo, Venus here, the attractive energy and the magnetic energy here in Scorpio, also in sort of a trine or a sextile, I should say, energy to Pluto here. There's like a little piggyback between Venus, Juno, and Pluto, where the three of them together are actually having this conversation that's imbuing the divine feminine with the power she needs to make things occur. It's a little bit more flow. This energy gets tougher the further we get into the year. But there's some flow energy here, to just do that extra step. Get up that little bit of extra hour early. Start working on that new business. Start working on, that passion project you have. Start getting out those paints again. Sign up for those auditions with that extra hour you're giving yourself in the morning or at night. There's this little bit of like, I recognize with my feminine energy what needs to happen. And so I'm just willing to become what's asked of me. There's a surrender here. It takes a little bit of work, but there's a surrender here to make it occur. Juno's also having a conversation with Vesta by trine. So there is this little bit of energy where if you build a pattern now, if you build a habit now, if you plant your flag, plant your stake in the ground now, with Vesta supporting Juno, there's this energy of an ability to see it through, to follow it through to its natural end, to get to where you want to go with this energy. Because Vesta is about dedication and dedicating ourselves to the thing that we truly want. And look, they both sit in earth signs. So this is about the manifestation of something, leveraging that masculine energy and that feminine energy within us to create that which we want in the physical world. And then Juno, it's interesting, the conversation the divine masculine and divine feminine are having with one another is one of tension. It's a square. Squares are 90-degree angles. They are not moving in the same direction. There's a moment in time right now where the energies are saying, divine masculine, do what you need to do. It does not involve divine femme. Divine feminine, do what you need to do. It does not involve divine masculine. Each of you are being told, roll up your sleeves, kid, get it done. You get this done, then you can get to the next place. And the next place includes a little bit of union energy and communication window opening for a short period of time, but it's not without some work, and that work will come much easier for everyone who's doing the work that's being asked of them in their individual lives. That much I have seen to be true in the astrology. When people are avoiding the work that needs to be done in their individual lives for whatever reason, I have seen that when those union energies come about, the universe will create a separation. So if you're curious about what the work is for you in your individual chart, I definitely recommend that we book some time. Email me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com. The opportunity to prepay is open with limited slots this month because of the holiday at the end of the month for people who live in the United States. I highly recommend that if you're called to get on the calendar in this month of November, that you go ahead and make the prepayment as soon as you are able, because I'd hate to have you get me to say to you, sorry, next opportunity is December. And that might be not soon enough for some of the clarity that you need and the double confirmation you need for your intuition. But if you know that your intuition's already been hollering at you all year, you probably don't need a reading. You just need to do what you need to do. So I highly encourage you to do whatever that is, and follow the truth in your heart, you guys. That's the main thing here, because that's how the divine's speaking to you once you've met your twin and you've had the alignment of heart, mind, body, and soul. The divine's going to speak to your heart and show you your path, regardless of what any reader says. So pay attention to the truth in your heart. Follow it, follow it, follow it. And I look forward to either reading for you or hearing how this resonates for you in the comments.